Hi guys, this is a YouTube broadcast in the Whitehouse2 response to the Egyptian crisis in response to Obama's non-YouTube but Oval Office or White House address a couple of days ago. CNN anchor, look at her big breasts, YouTube watchers. No, not him. The one in the purple. She ain't showing it. She has huge breasts. Now the fact of the matter in the Whitehouse2 response from the MacArthur Foundation point of view versus Ivy League of Obama's, James Berlin, and of course Bill Daley and Bill Clinton. The Obama-Clinton White House, it should be known. Number one, Whitehouse2 has made these following responses, as I said before. Institute or help catalyze the change of Eric Schmidt, who made a last-minute appeal to the public to stay in the CEO job of Google, versus Larry Page, the technology chief and co-founder of Google. On April 4th will be the new CEO of Google. Now, Princeton University Shirley Tilghman, the president, and Princeton University's own Tiananmen Square Gate, version Egyptian, versus the Egyptian demonstration, Liberation Square. I think her breast size is reduced a little bit. I asked her what she did to it. It used to be huge. Now, the fact of the matter is that isn't she kind of good looking? That's what YouTube and Facebook people should be really voting on. Besides the effectiveness of Whitehouse2 versus the president of Princeton University, Shirley Tilghman, Tiananmen Square Gate, for her own version versus Columbus Lee Baldwin version. And of course, she is on the board of directors of Google. And she might say that she and her faculty members and staff members at Columbia and Princeton University, respectively for the two presidents, have not lifted a finger to change or institute a more aggressive policy of technology and products at Google versus Facebook, where its IPO in 2012 Christmas time, people say, will blow the waters out of the marketing and advertising of not CNN newsroom, but with, of course, the Google's place in history through its advertising and high IPO prices that Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, the Harvard College dropout, be able to institute in a year and a half. But a double-edged sword is that in a year and a half or in a year when it goes IPO and rocket prices and people forget about Google, then of course the fact of the matter is that Google has a year with mine and MacArthur Foundation's help, Bob Gallucci and Whitehouse2, me, and MIT's 150 years celebration of computer science, physics, and its institute is why they have a chance to do something between now and 2012 when Facebook goes public. Now, the fact of the matter is that Goldman Sachs allows investors, its richest, to invest in a non-public company and make huge profits off of it is Obama's Nobel Peace Prize team fault and the Securities Exchange Commission. And of course, the Department of Justice, Mr. Holder from Columbia Law and college degrees. The Google people should be voting up and down these at YouTube. The Egyptian Tiananmen Square Gate with Lee Bond and Shirley Tilghman, who did not lift a finger with faculty members to help institute a more aggressive Google and YouTube, or some might call IdiotTube, versus Facebook, is an illustration book with simple words and ideas, but without the picture book of Google and YouTube. That's what the YouTube voters should be voting on up and down town hall meetings, along with all the academics listening to this and watching on YouTube. Tell Mr. Obama to watch it in response to it. Now, the fact of the matter is that change in Egypt is voted by Obama, and the Egyptian people who do not understand democracy anymore than the story is always right. And YMCA West in New York City on 63rd Street off Central Park West, where a lot of European visitors come to visit. Why is that? Because they allow the security guards to override my concerns and my needs when I'm a paying customer. Use the facilities or use the different aspects of facilities, gyms to swimming pools, to lifting weights, to running track, to internet terminals or TTI Technologies Incorporated on the lobby right next to the cafe on the first floor. A usually fairly public area for most hotel complexes. Even though YMCA is a non-profit organization and a for-profit, they act like a for-profit, and like many Americans, believe that law enforcement should be the ones that rule. Unlike the BlackBerry was not ruled by the Secret Service of law enforcement, but Mr. Obama, the Commander-in-Chief, rules. And this is why the Egyptian people in the Obama White House has allowed a transition government they have asked for. Change in Egypt. To be headed by the new and first Vice President Mubarak of Egypt, which comes from military ranks, as he did, and Afghan president, Pakistan president, and most Middle Eastern civilian leaders and presidents come from the military or need the military backing in order to survive and make any decision from military to civilian decisions. Now these are the things that CNNmoney.com or Live CNN wouldn't be covering, and of course YMCA allows Mr. Jacobs to override my concerns and my needs, the MacArthur Foundation's poster boy, and certainly doing more important things such as Time magazine saying that Obama, on his cover article this past week, is a Republican Reaganite and why he loves Reagan. And what we've been saying at the Whitehouse2 in emails and YouTube broadcasts, that's the Republican White House, not Democratic White House, was Mr. Obama. Time magazine a month late, but YMCA, Mr. Jack Villaverde, and the CEO of YMCA NYC.org, Jack Lund, L-U-N-D, Jack Lund. You can tell Mr. Jack Lund, the CEO of YMCA NYC.org, a nonprofit foundation, kind of like MacArthur's, but much, much smaller. You can tell his funders and supporters that building manager Jack Villaverde, the white guy with the bushy mustache, who doesn't like me, supports security guards and law enforcement over civilian rule of law enforcement and military. It's almost like the commander-in-chief taking orders from the military versus otherwise. And this is one of the reasons why Egyptian demonstrations don't understand they're replacing a military leader with another military leader. It's not going to change the attitude, and they have severe lack of understanding of democracy, and what democracy comes from. It doesn't come from law enforcement, it doesn't come from application of law enforcement. It comes from people's mind that the stores are not always right, but the customers are, and it's the customers' needs that need to be taken care of by security guards or YMCA, stores, Burger King, Starbucks, or anywhere else you go. They are not in charge of you, you are in charge of them, unless in extreme cases where poverty and real safety concerns are concerned. Let me tell you about safety concerns that Best Buy in New York City, Manhattan, Midtown, and all the stores in New York City, Best Buy, they just instituted 2 days ago, if you want to return an item bought by cash, for cash, greenbacks, okay, I'll be right out, sorry. And then of course, you know, the fact of the matter, I know, I'll be right out, I'm on the phone. I'll be right out, just 2 minutes. And then the fact of the matter is, that, you know, some guy was knocking on the door here. And the fact of the matter is that they need to then, of course, understand that in order to return any item by cash, bought by cash, and returning cash, they require you to have a state ID with picture, an address, like a driver's ID. And that's for safety and security issues. Well, I think that's a little bit an over-exaggeration of how security runs planet Facebook uses zombie Earth. And that's what the Tron Legacy Prices is about, tell about Lucci. And of course, the fact of the matter is that many Americans believe that law enforcement is smarter and should be in charge of civilians, as YMCA, Columbia using NYPD cops against my free speech and better physics Manhattan Project's ideas. And finally, I want to tell you about IBM Jeopardy, the ultimate supercomputer and supercomputer science machine. The science machine to give you the question that many human geniuses don't know. It's why we can't solve the problems in our hands, that we hold the DNA packets in our own bodies. There's physics laws in our computers and mathematical classrooms. But we don't know what the right question is to get from the question to the answer. Asking the wrong question doesn't lead you to the correct answer. And that's why we cannot answer many of the difficult questions in physics, biochemistry, genetics, protein folding, and of course the issue of Anton supercomputer. So the fact of the matter is that ultimately, the IBM Jeopardy supercomputer, which in January beat 3 human top contestants by far, and only at 80 teraflops calculation versus 80 petaflops with the Shaw's Anton supercomputing specialized hardware for protein folding explorations. 1,000 times slower for natural language processing or IBM Jeopardy computer shows you that the human brain doesn't have to work and does not work as fast as the cells, computer machinery of protein folding and unfolding, which causes diseases and generation of Wrong.